As you progress through your seasons of Million Lords, you will realize that your seasonal success isn't wholly based on your strategy and where you're attacking from, if you're attacking the right opponents, how your skill tree is organized, but it will often reflect a little bit on Million Lords etiquette. And there's a few different things I'm going to cover in this video that will help you succeed throughout your Million Lords seasons, whether it's just retaining a higher troop count, finishing at a higher KP, whatever it may be. But I think this is helpful for a lot of people. A lot of it's also kind of information that many people know, especially in higher leagues. So I tried to keep it informational for everyone, but definitely if you're coming up, maybe this is your 4th, 5th season, it'll be more important for you. So the first one that I'm going to cover is releveling. When you take a city, the city drops by 2 levels. You can see here it was a 108, dropped to a 106. Now, by releveling, I simply mean adding those 2 levels back. And if you are unable to do this, you can add 1 level back, or sometimes you don't have the gold, so you'll go on to attack other people, maybe hit some troops in cities, you gain the gold back, and later on you relevel. But a lot of times, if you want to stay in a relatively positive relationship with your neighbors, you'll want to relevel the cities. Now, there are some exceptions to this, because I would say, personally, if I'm running through someone, let's say this guy, and he ends up walling me, and basically walling is you just put your troops in front of someone's march or put them in the city that they're marching to and makes them so they're unable to take the city. Now, he will gain enough gold from that if I took let's say I took these 2 cities beforehand, before trying to take that one, which he walled me in. If he walls me here, I won't relevel these 2 cities for 2 reasons. One, because now I don't like the guy as much, but also because he just made enough gold to relevel them himself. Another thing I would say is if you are a lower stat player, you're not going to be able to build up enough gold to relevel fully in most cases, unless you're like suiciding into temples a ton. Then maybe early season you will be able to. But there's often people, especially in higher leagues, that have crazy stats. Like, let's see if I can just scout one of these fools and see. King Berto, he has good stats. So, like, people in higher leagues have crazy stats. Like this guy, he's running 458 Salvager. And so, if I hit him at a maybe, 15 to 20% troop loss, which is acceptable, then he would gain enough gold back that he made a profit on losing the city. And so in some scenarios, if you're a lower stat player, you don't have the gold to relevel, and you're hitting someone that has very high stats, then they'll be able to make a good amount of gold off of the city being lost. And so in that case, I think you don't necessarily have to relevel. But what I will end this releveling section with is if you relevel a city a single time and you have 50% cautious, which is the max you can get, and around 115, 120 salvager, which admittedly is a decent base to have, but you can also put skill points into it to reach that level. If you level the city once and you have those stats, it is nearly impossible for you to lose gold on that city. And often you will gain gold as well. So, and I'll show a screenshot here just demonstrating that. The person could attack, like normally you want to have the person losing like 10 to 15% minimum in order to make at least make back your investments on a city. But if you level a city a single time, you can make gold off the loss of the city, even if they attack with like 400 times the city's wall defense. So, something to keep in mind, even if you're like hardcore, no leveling, like I'm gonna save all my gold for end of season, you'll actually make more gold, more experience, and level, I guess, quicker almost because it's a higher city. You'll get more experience back. So, it's something to keep in mind here, guys. Even if you're hardcore, like no relevel person. All right, the second one that I'm going to cover is jumps. And this isn't really, some people might not consider this etiquette, but in my opinion, it is. Simply for the fact that a lot of people assume they can take a jump. Like, if I know a person, like at least know of them well enough that they know me, and I wanted to hit this guy, Alexander. And so because I want to hit him, I'm going to jump through this guy's city. It's a long march, but because I'm only attacking a single city for a long march that he knows that I know that he could just move troops and wall me, he'll understand that this is a jump. I'm not trying to attack him. I'm simply trying to get to this person and attack him. Now, this is wrong because a lot of people, I've had this happen many times, they'll send a long march like this and they'll just assume that I'm going to assume that they're hitting that person and not me. And the issue with this is it's almost like disrespectful because they expect me to cater to their, I don't know, play style, what they're trying to do here, but they don't really reach out to me. They kind of just assume that I'm going to let them take it. And often I tell people, I will wall you unless you clarify. Like, I will give jumps to nearly any person if they just reach out to me, whether I'm online and they type it in the global chat, or they can reach out through Discord. And my Discord is all undercase Grey God, period. If any of you guys want to reach out to me for jumps, whatever. But it's very common. If you want to do it properly, I would say if you see them in global chat, type it out, say, hey man, do you mind if I jump? The issue with that is if the person you're attacking sees it, then they'll be more ready. And so that might not work out so well. What is often the best case is simply going to Discord. And if you're in a couple Million Lords Discord servers, you can often just ask in the general chat, hey, does anyone know X person's name? And they'll often have their Discord, and you can just, DM them and be like, hey man, could I please have a jump to this person? And, maybe they don't want to let you have that person because they're planning on attacking them or whatever it may be. But it's important to just, reach out, make sure it's okay before just assuming that you can jump over to someone. The third thing is walling. Now, this is there's a lot of scenarios where this will change. So, first of all, like I mentioned earlier, walling is simply placing troops in a city. Let's say this guy was attacking this city, then I'd move troops, if it lets me, move troops to that city to hopefully defend the march. Now, if you are in an area with people that you plan on staying around and hitting for the rest of the season, you may want to reevaluate if you're going to wall them, how maybe you're going to underwall them instead so it doesn't hurt you guys as much, whatever it may be. Because generally walling is seen as something that you do to opponents you want to attack. Now, or you want to kind of hurt almost. And especially in upper leagues, in legend leagues, no one walls apparently because they're all just trading their asses off because it's not who's the best player, it's who can trade the hardest to stay. But in Diamond League and lower, then this is more of a thing that you guys can use. So realistically, if you have a couple people on your island, let's say this guy and some other guy that's actually able to attack this guy here. Let's say you had 2 people on your island out of like 6 that were releveling everything. And so they'll hit your cities, they'll relevel them, but then the other 6 people, maybe some of these pink people over here, are not releveling the cities. They'll take them and maybe they'll try to hold them, but you can't take them back at a higher experience. Whatever it may be, they're obviously deleveling the island and kind of hurting the island economy. Then maybe instead of walling the 2 people that are being progressive and upgrading their cities, you want to wall the people or focus on walling the people that are not. And so that's kind of what I often do. If I see people releveling cities, I won't go like boost over and try to get troops in and wall them or go out of my way to wall them. But if I see people that don't relevel cities, or maybe they're a pink player and I won't be able to take back the city, then I'll wall them, So it's really situational, but often if you don't want to be on someone's bad side, then don't wall them. But again, like I have situations where I'm friends with the person, they're attacking me, and we just have a crazy exchange of fights, and it's all just for fun because we know it's a game. It's really like if you know the person, can do whatever. If you don't know the person, you gotta kind of be cautious because some people they just assume that you're not gonna wall them, and then they're offended if you do. And also if they have better stats, they could screw you over this season, especially with the MP update. Then it's a lot. Like before, it was nearly impossible for someone to screw you out of staying in a league, but now with the MP update, you can 100% screw someone over out of staying in a league. So that's also something to keep in mind. When you wall, if you're going to underwall, who to wall, keep in mind because people can be offended and have a vendetta against you if you do wall them, especially if you wall them a lot. But again, if you want a more, like this is a battle game, if you want to be battling people, then wall them. Because sometimes I'll purposely wall people that are decent players just so I can have like slightly better content. I know like if next time I attack them, they're going to try to wall me and it'll be a cooler exchange rather than me just like running through cities for an hour, But that's something to keep in mind. The 4th item is sniping. Now, sniping is very simple, and you only really see it in bronze to gold, maybe plat league, but it's basically landing a march a second after someone else's march. So let's do this for demonstrational purposes. Someone attacks me here. Now I see that they're attacking, and so I send a march that lands 1 or 2 seconds after their march. And where this hurts the most is early game and in temples, because early game, people are trying to progress. And again, they can just reset, if you screw them over too hard. But early game and in temples where there's no city wall defense, and of course in just low-level cities as well. And they'll see that the person does not have Weapon Master, and so it doesn't auto-swap their gear out. And you can test this by simply, if someone's running through your cities, all you have to do is send a small march at any of their cities, just like that. It doesn't necessarily work for scouting all the time, but if you send a small march at their city, you'll see if they have, and I'll do this here just for demonstrational purposes. Like I said, this guy will be like, why are you attacking me with a small march? But either way, demonstrational purposes, guys. So you send a small march to their city, and then when you look at the battle report down here, then don't worry about the attack thing. That's messed up. But you can see that they have 80% brave, which is the standard in Diamond League. So you see that, and then you don't want to snipe them. But if instead you see 1% brave, or technically in lower leagues it would be like because you get a base. So above Gold League, I think it's 1%, but in Silver, it's like 15, and in Bronze, it's 25 base. So you'll see like that base amount, and then you can choose to snipe them, which is just, as I said, sending a march that lands a second after them, and it'll, because they have very low brave and won't have very high guardian as well, you kill all their troops. The troops they can buy back in battle reports, it'll show up in the top area here, but they have to spend sapphires, which is technically currency, because you have to buy it, or I mean there's ways to earn it as well, but so it hurts them and doesn't let them level as fast, definitely dampens their progress. So I personally do it to lower people, but it's kind of like a douchey thing to do. So that's something to consider, you know, if they're being a progressive neighbor, maybe they're releveling, or you know, they're being active enough so that you can see that they're going to be growing. Especially in low leagues, you want people around you that can grow fast enough to keep up. So consider who you're going to snipe and whether it's a good idea, because maybe they are going to come back for you. But yeah, I personally, I do it a little bit, but I realize it's a bad thing sometimes, and like it's kind of a jerk move to play. So that's why I'm covering it in this etiquette video, just so like you're aware of it and you're like, you know, maybe I won't screw over this guy's season, especially late season. If you do it late season, that's rough for that person, because you might not be able to restart your season. You have to buy back your troops, which costs a lot of sapphires late season. So you could really screw someone's season over. So consider if you really want to do that. But maybe in a scenario that is the play to move, because play to do, because they are hurting your progress, or whatever it may be. But keep that in mind. Another thing is over-attacking. Now, over-attacking, it's a very simple concept. If this person's, let's say this person's city has a base defense of 24.9 Gs, and that's just the city wall defense. And so that replicates the experience that you're going to get for the city. No matter how large or small an attack you send, you'll get that base amount. And then, of course, troops lost from the opponent's side and your side, you'll gain experience from that in a 1x for your troop loss and a 3x for their troop loss. But you also have to consider the XP, where this guy is 1 times experience because he is a red, I guess. Then it would just, that would be the case. But in cases where this guy is 50% experience, or this guy is 150 to 200% experience, then it does change. But anyways, that's like a side tangent thing. So I see that this guy has 24.9 G wall defense. If I send a march here, and I am sending a 490 G, and it shows just at the top there. You have to have Weapon Master, I think, to show the attack size. But either way, it shows the 490 G wall defense, 490 G attack. So I'm attacking with nearly 20 times his walls defense. And so this is probably borderline over attacking, if not 100% over attacking. And again, over attacking, just sending way more than you need to take the city. This hurts the opponent's gold gains and experience gain, because he won't kill as many troops. And it's often considered something that is bad etiquette, one might say. And so you can often piss people off by doing this, especially if you're doing it a lot. If you are low on troops and this is a scenario that you have to do, then, I mean, good luck. If they see you doing this a lot, they'll often try to wall you. And so this is another thing where just being a friendly neighbor to someone around, maybe hit with slightly less troops, this also helps you, because if they do decide to wall you, and people can wall you for whatever reason, even if that's just a whim, they feel like it, because it's a war game. Do what you want, play how you want. It's just a game. But people can wall you for whatever reason. So by sending a smaller march, you also risk less troops or losing less troops. So it's kind of a win-win for both parties. And so I guess the only exception would be if someone is weaker player and you're earning like 0% experience anyways, but you just want their cities and know they can't wall you. Sure, full stack them, you know. It'll hurt them, but it'll also make it so that they'll have a less chance of trying to wall you because you're sending so much anyways. But again, often looked at as a bad thing, and it helps the island economy and helps you to risk less troops and whatnot. So often a good thing to send slightly little less of a march. Another thing is, and often one of the biggest issues in terms of like just overall Million Lords etiquette, is invading a clanmate's area. Now, I will say at the beginning of the season, you go to islands and it is all like level 1 to 30 islands. And there's also conveniently a event at the beginning of the season where you have to capture 500 cities. So you're not going to be able to do that within your single island. So you're going to expand to other islands, and these cities are captured and lost so quickly that I don't think it matters early season if you're around a clanmate's area. Where it does matter is late season, because you'll see people, and I'll scroll to like a top person here. You will see people and their island, they have cities all over their island. And so there's opponents all over that they likely plan on hitting. And so if I jump in here through this guy here as a maybe weaker player in comparison to others and start running through this guy's cities, then I'm going to be very near to my teammate's home base, and it's going to limit his targets, as well as he won't be able to take them back because I am his clanmate. So he'll have to wait even longer for an enemy to take him back. And so instead of being a base 1 hour before you can take them, it'll be 2 hours. So that extends that timer as well. It's a whole deal. So that's something you want to avoid. Some people will say that you don't want to attack, like you want to reach out to your clanmate if you're attacking anywhere on their island. And this is really preferential. Personally, I would say at the least, just when you zoom out, you can zoom in, and the second you see enemy cities pop up, see that, like when I'm zooming out, enemy cities, there, enemy cities. So go to their main city where it is, and you can just find this by going here. And when you zoom out to the point where you can't see it, right there, do not take any cities that are visible in that area at minimum. That's what I would say personally. Do not take any cities that are visible at minimum in that area. But otherwise, reach out to clanmates, be like, can I attack this person? Maybe they're planning on attacking them. So that's something to keep in mind. It'll avoid you getting kicked out of a clan, because if you have like an OG member in the clan, or maybe your clan leader that you're attacking, and they're like, hey man, this guy's running through cities, you might get kicked and targeted by your clan. That's never a good thing. May force you to drop leagues or whatever. So also might help you just in terms of your general success. The last item I'm going to cover today is taking cities before bubble and at end of season. Now, this is something that nearly everyone does, but I would say at end of season, it's fair game, more so than during the season. So anywhere before the last couple days of season, or even the last day of season, honestly, where you see that your bubble is going to start in 1 hour, 42 minutes. And so what I mean by that is once it changes to within an hour of your bubble starting, then you start taking cities, and you take as many as you physically possibly can. You start maybe at red cities or pink if it's 50%, and work your way all the way up to the double experience cities just to maximize the KP gained. And then after you do this, before the city timer ends, because it's an hour timer, so they can't take them back within an hour. So before that ends, your bubble drops at 40 minutes from now, and they, instead of being able to take them back next hour, they have to wait 6 hours, and maybe they have work and sleep, or their bubbles goes on, so whatever it may be. So it's kind of a jerk move to take all these cities before you bubble, and then kind of ruin the island economy while you're just chilling for the next 6 hours. And instead, I would say, don't do that, I guess. Like, if you take them where, let's see, if you take them where they have a chance to at least take them back before, then, I mean, at least you gave them a chance. And so I would say this is, it's one of the lesser things. It's not necessarily as bad, but it is definitely looked down upon if you run through someone's cities and then bubble. And there is also like a bubble glitch, apparently. I don't know how to activate it anymore, but where you can run through someone's cities and then activate your bubble early. Again, I don't know how to do it. I'm not gonna, if I find out how to do it, I'm not gonna share how to do it or do it myself, but people also do that, I've seen personally. But yeah, so don't do that. End of season, I think it's fair game. It's a free-for-all. You're trying to stay in your league or progress or reach a certain level so you can get higher gem rewards. Which, by the way, I will mention, Million Lords, if any of you devs are watching, having a single gem for 100% and 95%, and then having 2 gems for both 50 and 20 is completely messed up and shows zero loyalty to your fan base and whatever it is. And these are facts. I'm not shitting on you guys. You used to have it where it was set up where this one would be 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 6, then 7, or something very close to that. But yeah, end of season, free for all. Do what you want. Attack as many cities as you want. You are there to gain whatever progress you are able to, and if people are slightly hurt because of that, then whatever. But during the season, when you're giving people time to the next day screw you over because you screwed them over, it's probably not the best idea. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully maybe some of that was useful for you, whether you're new, definitely, but if you're an older player and you're thinking about stuff and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't screw over these people, but whatever. Yeah, I will end it there. But again, join my Discord if you have any questions, want to keep up with promo codes and later content, and feel free to subscribe, whatever. I won't beg you for it. And of course, leave a comment if I missed anything or maybe stated something that was incorrect. Again, this is kind of overall consensus, but part of it is my opinion, so it might not be perfectly reflective of what you believe. See you next time.